This is another exclusive rock music extravaganza conducted by Thomas S. ORWAT Jr.
Welcome to episode number 36 of the Rock Interview Series. I'm Thomas ORWAT Jr. It is October 20th, 2021, and my guest today is Nils Goldschmidt, bass player and leader of the hard rocking band Velvet Chains. Velvet Chains is a four-piece band that was formed in 2018 in Las Vegas, Nevada. They released their debut 10-track album entitled Icarus on September 24th, 2021. The band's sound can best be described as a mix of post-grunge, alternative, and early Guns N' Roses. Velvet Chains is one of the most exciting bands out there right now. The band's first single is a track called Tattooed and featured guest guitarist Richard Fortus of Guns N' Roses. The band also released an epic must-see video for this track as well. We talk about this and much more in the following exclusive interview. So here he is, Nils Goldschmidt. Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 36 of the Rock Interview Series. And today we have Velvet Chains' Nils Goldschmidt with us. Nils, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm super stoked to be here on the podcast.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Velvet Chains is a new band that's really kind of like getting the attention of a lot of people. You have a record that you just released in September, have a great video that's out right now. Why don't we start by telling our viewers how the band formed?
Yeah, man, it was back in 2018. I was super inspired by the Dead Daisies. Not sure you're familiar with that band. I mean, most people are. And I said, hey, you know what? I've had a little bit of a business background in the past, some success there, and I think it's time to get back into music, significantly back into it. And I put this ad out on Craigslist. And granted, I've been always playing in bands for years, but really do a serious project. So I put this ad on Craigslist and I said, hey, let's get together. Let's form a band. Let's have a GNR, Velvet Revolver influences, Stone Temple Pilots, all the 90s, a little bit of the early 2000s, like Linkin Park, maybe Green Day and so on. And I said, let's do this mainly because we want to kick ass, play rock and roll, and take over the world, but let's start small. And I got a lot of people emailing me after this ad that were super interested. So I started doing auditions here in Vegas and eventually found the right members for the band for its first iteration. So yeah, it worked out really well.
How difficult was that process? There's a ton of musicians in Vegas. So did you get a really good turnout for this?
You know, I did. I got a really good turnout. And granted, there's all types of musicians in Vegas, right? You got you're the ones that do it for fun. You got your amateurs, your semi-pros, pros, and so on. So something like this, being somebody unknown without much of a track record, a lot of people that applied for it were, you do it as a fun thing on the side here and there. And some semi-pro or somewhat experienced and so on. So it was a little bit difficult to find the right mix of musicians that I could see kind of shared the vision that I had for the band. But eventually, after a few months of trial and error, I believe we found the right group.
Yeah. What was the writing process like for the record? You released your first record in September of this year, Icarus. Tell me about the process and the dynamics of the band as far as who's responsible for doing what and writing the songs.
Yeah, man. So the whole songwriting thing, because we started playing a lot of covers and we started gigging right away at bars and so on. But quickly during COVID, we found ourselves just sitting at home on the sofa, drinking or smoking or whatever each member likes to do on their free time. But it was kind of like, do we sit here, stare at the wall because we couldn't play live, we couldn't rehearse? Do we just do nothing, or do we just really get this originals project going? So we started writing, and everybody kind of has their own way to write. I like to just put words on a piece of paper and I'll look at melodies and riffs later on. My drummer is the same way. My guitar player and my singer are actually the opposite. They start with melodies and riffs, and then they'll add some lyrics to it. But then once we had a good chunk of songs, and you can see the COVID inspiration in there because a lot of the lyrics are kind of dark and anxious and obsessive and concerned, just in general, the topics explored that we wrote about, quite honest topics and themes, but a little bit on the darker side. So then to put all these ideas together into songs, well, we had some melodies, we had a bunch of lyrics. We met up with Drew Lawrence over in LA, and Drew's worked with, he's a songwriter. He's worked with a bunch of very successful people in the industry. And he helped us to put a little bit of, give a little bit of shape to these songs and do some really basic rough demos with a keyboard, right? So he'd sing into it, or the singer would sing in, and just with a keyboard, we'd kind of do an arrangement. Then we grabbed those rough demos and came back to the drawing board, back to Vegas, and we started adding the instruments and morphing stuff around. So it was definitely a long process. It was very involved. We used, experts and a great team of people to do it. But yeah, the writing process was that, and we ended up with a product that we're super, an album that we're super happy with.
Yeah, the record is amazing. I want to talk about the I think it's their first single from the record called Tattoo, which features Richard Fortus of Guns N' Roses. First of all, tell me a little bit about that track, and secondly, tell me how Richard got involved in it.
Yeah, so I wrote Tattooed. It started just like I said, sitting on the couch with a bottle of whiskey. And Tattooed talks a lot about the dark times that we were living and how people would deal with pain. I believe there's the part of the chorus, I hide the pain with greater pain. And it's just true, not knowing how to deal with the circumstances that were going on and tortures thoughts and things like that. So that's how the song came to be. It's very much inspired in alt rock 90s grunge, but then we connected with Richard Fortus through our dear friend Mike Squires, who we asked him, we said, look, we're looking for a collab with somebody amazing. And he suggested a few names, but when we heard the name Richard Fortus, we're like, man, that'd be a dream to work with somebody at that level, right? He's a virtuoso of guitar playing. And he showed the demos, we connected with Richard. He liked the concept of the band. He liked the band members. He liked the song. And he said, yeah, I'm down, I'll collab. So he eventually, after a few days, he sent in, we told him, he's like, what do you want me to do? We're like, feel free to do whatever, full creative ability, redo the solo, redo the entire lead guitar. Heck, go ahead and redo the rhythm guitars if you'd like. And he sent us his work. And at that point, he's like, okay, guys, here you go. And let me know any revisions, just as many as you need. We'll just tighten it up until we get it. And, we're thinking like, okay, yeah, we'll check it out. Well, I'm sure we'll have some stuff. And then we listened to it as a band and we're like, man, we're mind blown by what he did. There's no revisions that need to be made. This thing is a masterpiece. So really, really happy with that, what he did, and really appreciative that he took the time to consider us and work with us. So that's how it went down. And it was just, 100% awesome.
Yeah, not only is it a great song, but you also filmed a really cool video. It's almost like a mini horror story. Tell me a little about the video, and how did you come up with that concept?
Yeah, so the whole concept and everything was done by Dean Carr, who directed it and produced it. And Dean has worked with amazing talent also, like, say, Marilyn Manson, Iron Maiden, Queens of the Stone Age, Velvet Revolver, and so on. So we met up with Dean in LA, also got introduced to him through another dear friend of ours, which is Laura. Laura is that lady there that kidnaps our drummer and tortures her. So she's part of the video too. But that whole process was meeting up with Dean Carr in his house. We went over to his house. It's like a castle. It's pretty cool inside. He's got all sorts of taxidermy stuff, like some pig heads and some embryos in like a jar. I don't know, whatever the right word is, but it's pretty freaky in there, right? And all the props that he uses and all the horror stuff that he does is laying around. So, man, it was a blast just to be there. So we sat down with him. We showed him a few of the songs, but we said, look, we got Tattoo. We got Richard Fortus collaborating on it. We want to come out with the bang on our debut single. And he's like, man, I dig this song. This will be cool. And let's give it a shot. So Dean asked us, he's like, what do you guys want to do for a theme? And we're like, look, Dean, we don't mean to sound like fanboys, but we've seen all your work. We want to give you same thing as Richard, man, full creative ability. Let's see what you got. So he came up with the concept of torture, the warehouse, and all that. And it was fantastic, man. And even more so, Dean can be quite the character to talk to, and he's funny. And it's like, I got the impression, I'm like, man, this dude lives in a different world. Like, I love his vibe, But I was thinking, like, what's the whole process going to be like when we're on set, right? Is it going to be the same? How long is it going to take? Blah, blah, blah. And no, when we got there, working Dean is a top Hollywood director, man. There's no time to be wasted. There's no messing around. And it was super professional. That 40 people working on the set, many camera people, sound people. It was fantastic. We also got to work with Vance Burberry, who is one of the most well-known camera cinematographers is the right name. I'm sorry, I don't know what the right name is, but no, it was a blast, man. It was from early morning to very late at night, but it was a once in a lifetime experience, man.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible for a band to release their first video with such a budget behind and such an elaborate, like, looking video. Do you have plans on releasing any other videos for any of the other songs on the record at this point?
Yeah, so we almost didn't expect to have such a positive reaction from people listening to it. We're like, look, it'll be our first record. Let's put a nice, handsome budget behind it, but let's not go crazy. Thinking, it may fly under the radar a little bit because nobody's heard of us. But so in hindsight, we probably should have done more. But what we did is we said, look, let's do a lyric video for Past the Deceased, and we did a live video for Strange Love. So we're happy with it. I'm happy with it. I think it was the right thing to do. But for the next record, expect, double or triple the budget, man. We're going to go all out for the next one.
Yeah. Does the band have any plans to tour outside of Las Vegas? Play, maybe out here on the East Coast at all?
Yeah, we're having our booking agents set up as many festivals as possible for next year. Perhaps a small couple, 2, 3, maybe 4-week tour. We do want to hit the East Coast, but we're trying to focus mostly on festivals. We're also looking at Latin America and Europe, but we're trying to understand a little better the whole COVID situation in those places before we commit to anything. But yeah, man, we're excited to get out there and play and not just in Vegas, which we play almost every weekend over here, but we definitely want to get out there in other cities too.
Yeah, I read in your bio that you also collaborated with other musicians in the past. Can you tell me who else you've collaborated with?
Yeah, man. So Mike Squires, who I just mentioned, he introduced us to Richard. He also collabed, and Jeff Rouse collabed. So Mike and Jeff, they are part of Duff McKagan's Loaded. You're familiar with Duff. He's the bass player for Guns N' Roses, and he has his own band on the side where he sings and he plays rhythm. So Mike is lead guitar and Jeff is bass on Duff McKagan's Loaded. And they both collabed on Past the Deceased, which is, again, a super grungy song, very Alice in Chains-y. And it was a blast working with them too. Such professional musicians, man. The level of work they put in and what they sent us was fantastic.
Yeah. I guess the last question I have for you, Nils, and then again, thank you for your time, is where do you see Velvet Chains in like 5 years from now? Where would you like to be?
Yeah, I love that question. So 5 years from now, we've made some changes. We haven't announced anything yet. So it's a little bit, like I said, like the Daisies, where we go out 2-3 years, film, we maybe change the lineup a little bit, but it's a little bit of a passion project that hopefully not 5 years, hey, we'll be touring, we'll be playing a lot. But for me, this is something I'm gonna be doing until I'm 75, So that's the whole plan of Velvet Chains, just something that goes into perpetuity.
All right. Well, Nils, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And best of luck to the band. I think you're off to a great start. Awesome record, great video. And just keep rocking, man.
Yeah, man, really appreciate you. It's awesome to talk to you and with your audience. And thank you so much for the opportunity, man. And hope to see you again soon.